When faith becomes your strength, resilience becomes your natural state. You may still experience loss, heartbreak, failure, and confusion, but these no longer have the power to break you. Instead, they serve as reminders of your dependency on Allah and your detachment from the temporary nature of this world. This resilience is not built overnight. It is the result of countless moments spent in prayer, in reflection, in silent struggle, and in sincere submission. The person who leans on their faith finds that their heart can withstand what others assume will destroy them. Their source of power is not themselves, but the one who never tires, never sleeps, and never forgets. That awareness creates an inner fortress, quiet but unshakable. This kind of strength is invisible to the eyes of those who only measure success by worldly victories. They may not understand how someone can keep smiling after losing everything, or remain kind after being mistreated. But faith allows you to hold on when everything is falling apart, because you believe that with every difficulty comes ease. You believe that no pain is wasted, and every tear that falls in patience is a step toward a greater reward. You begin to see that hardship is not a punishment, but a platform for elevation. With every challenge, Allah is giving you a chance to rise spiritually, to build your character, to polish your soul, and to find Him more deeply than ever before. This resilience also shows in MENK. You recover from setbacks. You no longer see failure as the end. Instead, you see it as part of your divine training. You fall, but you rise. You make mistakes, but you repent. You get tested, but you turn that test into a prayer. The strength of faith allows you to redefine your narrative. You are not a victim of life's circumstances. You are a believer navigating your tests with purpose and clarity. You know that Allah is Al-Latif, the subtle, working behind the scenes in ways you cannot comprehend. This belief keeps your hope alive, even when the world gives you every reason to give up. When others see closed doors, the believer sees redirection. When others feel hopeless in delay, the believer trusts in perfect timing. This unshakable trust creates a deep peace within. You stop being overwhelmed by things beyond your control, because you believe in the one who controls all things. You take the means, you put in the effort, but your heart is not attached to outcomes. Your contentment comes not from what you achieve, but from knowing you did it sincerely for Allah. That kind of peace cannot be bought or imitated. It is a gift from faith, a reward for trusting, surrendering, and staying patient. The resilience that stems from faith also affects how you deal with people. You are less reactive, more forgiving, and less consumed by what others think or say. You do not need to win every argument or defend yourself constantly. Your soul is at ease knowing that Allah knows the truth. You leave your affairs to Him, and that reliance frees you from the exhausting need to control everything around you. You are not emotionally enslaved to people's opinions because your heart is already full of something greater, divine certainty. This strength makes you consistent in your worship, even when you are emotionally exhausted. It keeps you in sujood when life is heavy. It helps you utter words of remembrance, even when your heart is broken, motivates you to give, to help, to smile, even when you are silently battling your own struggles, because you know that everything you do for Allah's sake is seen, recorded, and rewarded. This consistency built upon faith is what makes you strong. Not loud, not hard, but firm and enduring. So when faith becomes your strength, you no longer fear loss, because you've already anchored yourself in the only one who can never be lost. You may bend, but you will not break. You may stumble, but you will not fall apart, because you know who holds your heart, who plans your journey, and who promises that for every hardship there will be ease. This is the ultimate resilience, the quiet, unwavering strength that only comes from true faith. True strength in the eyes of faith is not found in power, pride, or the ability to dominate others. It is found in humility, in surrender, and in quiet reliance upon the one who holds the universe in his hands. When a person internalizes this truth, their entire understanding of strength changes. They no longer measure strength by how loudly lies speak, how much control they exert, or how many battles they win. Instead, they find strength in submitting to Allah, in trusting His decisions, and in maintaining inner calm even when everything around them feels unstable. This kind of strength doesn't need to be proven or announced. It shows itself in moments of restraint, in acts of forgiveness, and in the refusal to let ego lead the way.
The world often glorifies self-assertion and instant reactions. But faith teaches us that the strongest people are those who can remain composed when provoked. To walk away from an argument not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough to control your anger. To forgive someone who wronged you not because they deserve it, but because you seek the forgiveness of Allah. This strength is rooted in the awareness that every response is seen, every emotion is accounted for, and every silent moment of self-control is rewarded. When you operate with this mindset, you begin to protect your peace rather than your pride. You are no longer interested in proving a point to others because you are focused on proving your sincerity to your Lord.
There is immense power in choosing silence over conflict, mercy over vengeance, and calm over chaos. These choices are not signs of passivity, they are evidence of a heart anchored in faith. It takes a powerful soul to remain patient when insulted, to speak gently when provoked, and to stay sincere when others are being unjust. These are not easy responses, they go against the nafs, the lower self that demands revenge, recognition, and superiority. But faith disciplines the nafs. It teaches the believer that the reward of restraint is far greater than the temporary satisfaction of retaliation. When a person begins to embody this inner strength, they become a source of calm for others as well. They don't add to the noise or the drama around them. Instead, they bring perspective, wisdom, and peace. Their strength is not loud, but it is deeply felt. They become the ones others turn to in times of confusion and hardship, not because they have all the answers, but because their faith gives them a perspective that cuts through the chaos. They see beyond the moment, beyond the insult, beyond the pain. They see the opportunity for growth, for reward, and for closeness to Allah. This humility and submission also reflect in how they treat people. They don't look down on others because of their flaws, because they are constantly aware of their own need for Allah's mercy. They avoid arrogance because they recognize that any good they possess is from their Lord, not their own doing. This mindset protects them from the poison of pride, which is one of the greatest spiritual diseases. They walk gently on the earth, not because they are unsure of their worth, but because they know true honor comes from humility before Allah. In this way, faith redefines strength. It is no longer about overpowering others, but about overcoming oneself. It is about responding to harm with kindness, to injustice with justice, and to difficulty with trust. Such strength doesn't fade with age, circumstance, or failure. It grows over time, nurtured by prayer, reflection, and sincere worship. And the one who carries this strength walks through life with a quiet dignity, secure in the knowledge that they are under the protection and guidance of the most powerful. This is strength that no one can take away, because it is rooted in something eternal. When faith becomes the strength behind a person's purpose, a powerful transformation unfolds within their soul. Life stops being a random series of events and starts to feel like a carefully designed journey, where every step has meaning and direction. Faith brings clarity. It shifts the believer's focus from the approval of people to the pleasure of the Creator. When this shift takes place, the need for validation from society, friends, or even family begins to fade. A believer who is anchored in faith no longer defines success by worldly standards such as wealth, status, or popularity. Instead, success is measured by sincerity, obedience, and striving for the hereafter. This change in perspective shields the heart from envy, competition, and despair. It gives life a spiritual compass, guiding actions, decisions, and even emotions based on a higher goal, seeking closeness to Allah. With faith guiding the heart, a person becomes conscious of their intentions in every action. They no longer act to impress or outperform others, but to fulfill their duty as a servant of Allah. Even small, everyday tasks become acts of worship when done with the right intention. Whether it is a kind word, a moment of silence, an act of patience, or even the struggles one endures silently, everything becomes a means of earning Allah's pleasure. This awareness brings deep fulfillment. You begin to live a life of purpose, not one of reaction. You are no longer controlled by trends or opinions, because you know whom you serve. Your values are defined by divine guidance, not fleeting social norms. This clarity also builds emotional resilience. When people misunderstand you, ignore your efforts, or fail to appreciate your sacrifices, it doesn't break you. You remind yourself that your reward lies with Allah, not with people. This protects your heart from bitterness and disappointment. You learn to give without expecting anything in return, to work quietly with sincerity, and to endure rejection with dignity. This mindset removes much of the emotional pain that comes from worldly attachments and unmet expectations. It frees you to live honestly and simply, doing your best for the sake of Allah and leaving the results to Him. Furthermore, faith-driven purpose aligns your choices with your values. You begin to choose friends, career paths, and even conversations based on what brings you closer to Allah. You avoid actions that may seem popular but are spiritually harmful. You weigh your words carefully, knowing that even a sentence can have consequences in this world and the next. You manage your time differently, prioritizing prayer, reflection, and service to others over distractions that offer no lasting benefit. You are no longer just surviving day to day. You are building a legacy step by step, even if no one else sees it. This inner focus gives peace. You no longer panic over delays or failures because you believe everything unfolds with divine wisdom. You don't rush into decisions just to catch up with others. You move with calm confidence, knowing that your path is unique and guided by the one who knows you better than you know yourself. You don't need to shout or prove your worth. Your faith already affirms your value. In times of success, you are humble because you know it's from Allah. In times of hardship, you are patient because you trust His plan. This balance keeps your soul steady and your mind clear, no matter what life throws at you. Living with a faith-centered purpose is not about isolation from the world, but about engaging with it in a more meaningful and conscious way. It is the decision to prioritize what truly matters and to let go of what doesn't. It is the quiet strength of living for something eternal in a world that only sees the temporary. And when faith becomes your guide, every moment becomes an opportunity to come closer to your Creator, to live with intention, and to leave behind a life that echoes in the heavens. Patience is one of the greatest manifestations of faith, and it becomes a true source of strength when a believer understands its value and purpose. It is not just about waiting for something to change or pass, it is about how one behaves and thinks while waiting. Patience is a reflection of trust in the wisdom of Allah, especially when nothing seems to make sense. It is knowing that the delay, the hardship, the unanswered prayers are not signs of neglect, but part of a divine plan that is always for your ultimate good. When faith is your strength, patience is not a burden, but a tool that shapes your character and steadies your heart. It is the ability to remain calm in chaos, composed in disappointment, and hopeful in the face of uncertainty. Many people misunderstand patience as passivity or weakness, but in reality, it is one of the highest forms of spiritual strength. It requires discipline, control over emotions, and a deep understanding that outcomes are not always immediate. The one who has strong faith does not rush the decree of Allah. They do not grow frustrated with divine timing. Instead, they wait with humility and gratitude, trusting that what is delayed may be better for them and that what is withheld might be protecting them from harm. Faith teaches them that every moment of patience is being recorded and every breath taken in silence during a trial is a source of reward and elevation in the sight of their Lord. The strength of patience is not seen only during the difficulty itself, but also in what happens afterward. A person of faith does not allow their trials to turn them bitter, resentful, or distant from Allah. Even after the storm has passed, they continue to reflect on what they learned, how they grew, and how they were supported by Allah in ways that others may never understand. This reflection makes them stronger and wiser for future challenges. It deepens their gratitude and softens their heart. They begin to appreciate the process more than the outcome. They understand that true growth often comes in the waiting, in the trusting, in the surrender. Furthermore, patience is closely linked with emotional strength. Life does not always give us what we want, and it is easy to react with anger, sadness, or despair when things don't go our way. But faith teaches us emotional discipline. It teaches us that controlling our tongue, guarding our thoughts, and maintaining hope, even in silence, is a powerful form of worship. When you refrain from complaining to people, when you choose to raise your hands to Allah instead of blaming others, you are exercising a form of strength that is honored in the heavens. Patience gives dignity to your pain and transforms suffering into a ladder toward higher ranks in the hereafter. The Prophet of Islam taught us that patience is a light, a guiding force that helps us through darkness. And indeed, those who are patient walk with that light, even when everything around them is dim. They don't crumble when life tests them, because their patience is rooted in certainty. They have yaqeen, conviction, that relief is near. even if they don't see it yet. That inner certainty allows them to remain still in their hearts, even when their surroundings are shaking. It gives them peace in the delay, in the unknown, and in the test itself. In a world that constantly demands quick results and instant gratification, patience is a rare and noble strength. It is the voice that says Allah knows best when the heart wants to question. It is the act of surrendering your timeline in favor of divine wisdom. And when you develop that level of trust, patience becomes second nature. You don't just wait, you grow, you mature, and you find purpose in the pause. This is the silent strength of faith. It allows you to stand firm, speak less, rely more, and walk through life with grace, even during your hardest season. When faith becomes the foundation upon which a person views hardship, a deep transformation occurs within the soul. Trials and difficulties no longer appear as random misfortunes or punishments, but as opportunities, divinely crafted moments designed for growth, purification, and elevation. This perspective changes everything. Instead of drowning in despair when life becomes hard, the believer with strong faith finds meaning in the pain. They understand that nothing happens without a reason, and no difficulty is ever wasted in the sight of Allah. Every challenge becomes a form of spiritual training, an exercise in patience, trust, and surrender. The heart begins to shift from asking, "Why is this happening to me?" to "What is Allah teaching me through this? And how can I grow closer to Him through this test?" This change in mindset doesn't come instantly, nor is it easy. It is built over time through reflection, prayer, and sincere submission to the will of Allah. The one who has faith as their strength knows that this life is temporary, that every hardship has an expiry date, and that ultimate peace lies in the next life. They learn to look at problems with the lens of eternity, not just the moment. A financial loss is not the end of their security, because they believe Allah is Al-Razak, the provider. A betrayal from a loved one does not destroy them, because they believe Allah's mercy and love are greater than the affection of any human. A delay in a prayer being answered does not make them lose hope, because they believe Allah is Al-Hakim, the most wise, and His timing is always perfect, even if it is not understood in the present moment. The believer sees their hardships as part of a divine plan, not an interruption to it. This trust softens the blow of life's hardest moments. It allows them to experience pain without being consumed by it. They cry, but they do not collapse. They feel hurt, but they do not lose their way. Their hearts may shake, but their roots remain firm, because they know the one who is testing them is also the one who loves them the most. There is a peace that comes with this trust, a calmness that the world cannot give or take away. It is the tranquility that comes when a heart is certain that everything is unfolding exactly as it is meant to. In this state, hardship becomes a bridge, not a barrier. The believer uses trials as a means to increase in dua, in worship, in connection with Allah. Every difficulty becomes a doorway to a deeper level of sincerity and closeness to the Creator. And as they walk through that doorway, their soul becomes more refined, their arrogance decreases, their gratitude increases, and their understanding of life deepens. They begin to live not just for the ease of the moment, but for the reward of the hereafter. They carry their pain with dignity, knowing that with every moment of patience they are being elevated. Faith transforms the way we interpret life's storms. It teaches us that sometimes the very things we think are breaking us are actually building us. The loss, the rejection, the failure, it might be the answer to a dua we made long ago, asking for growth, for strength, for nearness to Allah. And so instead of asking for the storm to pass quickly, the believer asks for strength within the storm, for clarity in confusion, and for the ability to emerge from the test better than before. That's the power of faith. It doesn't erase hardship, but it redefines it. And once that mindset takes root, no challenge can ever truly destroy a person again. Because when faith becomes the lens through which you see your trials, every hardship becomes a hidden mercy in disguise. When life becomes overwhelming, when the burdens we carry feel too heavy for our shoulders, it is faith that steps in as the quiet but unshakable lifeline that keeps us going. Many people associate faith with ritual and routine, but its true strength is only revealed when everything else begins to fall apart. Faith is not just a set of beliefs or words spoken during prayer. It is a deep inner certainty, a flame that refuses to go out even in the strongest of storms. It is during our most difficult moments that we begin to truly understand how powerful faith can be when it becomes our strength. We turn inward not to escape, but to connect with the Creator, to find a sense of security that the world cannot offer. When relationships break, wealth disappears, or health fails, faith whispers to our hearts, reminding us that these worldly tests are not the end, but part of a divine process designed to raise us, cleanse us, and shape us. Faith becomes the rope we hold on to when there is nothing else to grip, when no one understands the pain we are in, or when even the closest of people walk away. It is faith that tells us Allah is still near, still watching, still listening. It gives us the courage to take one more step when our bodies feel weak, to offer one more prayer when our voices tremble, and to hope for a better day, even when all signs suggest otherwise. This kind of faith is not blind optimism, nor is it denial of the hardships we face. It is a deeply rooted belief that beyond every trial is wisdom, that Allah does not burden a soul beyond its capacity, and that no pain is ever wasted in His sight. Every tear, every sleepless night, every broken moment, He sees them all, and He counts them all. There is something powerful about knowing that your struggle is not hidden from the one who controls everything. Faith reassures the heart that every challenge is recorded, every act of patience rewarded, and every hardship followed by ease. It stops us from spiraling into despair. Even when we feel like giving up, it becomes the voice inside that says, keep going. This is not the end. With faith, we no longer panic when things don't go our way. We learn to say Alhamdulillah in both ease and difficulty. That gratitude becomes a shield, protecting us from the bitterness of disappointment. It becomes the proof that we trust Allah's plan more than we fear the temporary discomfort of our trial. There are times when people around us may advise us to just move on, to be strong, to stop being emotional. But true strength is not found in pretending that nothing hurts. It is found in turning to Allah with your brokenness and saying, only you can carry this for me. Faith gives us permission to be real with our struggles, while still moving forward. It allows us to grieve, but not to collapse, to cry, but not to give up. And through this process, faith becomes a companion, a silent but strong friend that walks with us through the valley of sorrow until we reach light again. When you build your inner strength through faith, external circumstances can no longer control your peace. You're no longer a victim of the storm, but a believer navigating it with trust. You begin to understand that your strength does not come from what you possess, but from the one you rely upon. That reliance turns weakness into resilience and pain into purpose. So when faith becomes your strength, even in your most fragile moments, you are never truly broken. Instead, you are spiritually fortified, silently strong, and divinely supported in ways that no one else can see but you and your Lord.